Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tracing the complete, incredible journey of writing. We're going to trace the arc from the raw, emotional soul of writing all the way over to the rigorous, structured frameworks of academic implementation. And whether you're penning a deeply personal memoir or drafting a clinical healthcare project, the core goal is actually exactly the same. We're going to explore how pure passion transforms into measurable, real-world impact. To really ground our whole journey today, let's look at this quote from James Baldwin. He famously said, "You write in order to change the world. If you alter even by a millimeter the way people look at reality, then you can change it." I mean, that brilliantly captures our fundamental goal here, right? Every single piece of writing at its absolute core is designed to enact change. Now, sometimes that change is a sweeping global revolution, but honestly, more often than not, it's just that crucial hard-won millimeter. Section 1. The Power of Words. Okay, before we can even begin to think about academic checklists or formatting rules, we really have to understand the sheer emotional weight our words carry. Author Mary Piffer reflects on the profound impact of Anne Frank's diary. She talks about visiting the Holocaust Museum and seeing just a few seconds of film that showed Anne waving from a balcony. Piffer noted how Anne, despite living in literally one of the darkest, most terrifying scenarios imaginable, managed to tell the truth. She bequeathed us the gift of hope. Her writing gives us this incredible sense of the potential largesse of the human soul. It's proof right there that words can transcend the most horrific circumstances imaginable to connect us to our shared humanity. And we see this powerful urge to connect in everyday, quiet moments of heroism, too. Pfeiffer shares this other deeply moving story from a visit to an oppressive, impoverished market on the Burmese border. She described the place as practically comatose, just a total absence of hope. But there was this one man selling children's toys in the gutter. As she walked by, he quickly scrawled "freedom from fear" on a little plastic magic slate, flashed her a fierce, desperate smile, and then quickly erased it. In that split second, he used words to carve out a tiny piece of freedom, just to connect with a total stranger. That is the raw, undeniable power of communication. So, the crucial point for us is understanding exactly how we use this power. There is a massive fundamental difference between writing propaganda and writing for real change. Propaganda just invites passive agreement, right? It wants you to nod your head and accept a prepackaged answer. But change writing, that invites original thought. It embraces the messy nuance of life. It presents what writer Charles Johnson calls an invitation to struggle. When you write to actually change the world, you're trusting your reader to handle complexity. But here's the catch. Before a writer can reach out and enact this kind of change, they have to look inward first. You have to deeply know yourself and your own context. Which brings us to Section 2, Know Your Own Story. Consider this really fantastic insight from Willa Cather. She argues that an artist's limits are actually definite assets, that they form a person's unique flavor. And this applies directly to you and whatever scholarship you're working on. Your unique temperament, your past experiences, the very specific way you grew up, and yes, even your blind spots. These are not deficiencies to hide. They are the distinct flavors that bring genuine authenticity and perspective to your work. Now, if you're sitting there struggling to find that authentic voice, try this highly practical exercise called the I am from poetic formula. Piffer actually used this with refugees to help them explore their shifting identities. You literally just write lines starting with I am from, and then drop in super specific references to defining foods you ate, places you lived, or religions and philosophies you grew up around. It forces you to catalog the specific, gritty details that built your worldview. Ultimately, knowing your story means accepting all of it, the good, the bad, and the messy. I love how Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron phrased it. She said, "We are all a paradoxical bundle of rich potential that consists of both neuroses and wisdom." Isn't that great? Bringing our whole, wonderfully complex selves to our work is exactly what creates writing that feels clear, honest, and deeply reflective. Okay, so we've got the passion. We've tapped into the emotional core. We know our personal story. So, how do we operationalize that? Let's pivot from the philosophy of writing into the practical academic action required to channel that passion into real-world impact. Section 3. Structuring your scholarship. This brings us to our first major structural tool, which is absolutely crucial in rigorous fields like nursing and healthcare: evidence-based practice. Simply put, it's about using the best available evidence to guide the initiation and implementation of a project. Think of evidence-based practice as the sturdy, structured vessel that safely carries your passionate, world-changing goal out into the real world. Because let's face it, without this structure, a great idea is really just a wish. Let's see how this builds into an actual workable framework. Here's a look at Bonnell and Smith's project checklist. Notice how methodically this breaks a project down. You have to lock in your evidence base, choose a guiding theory, iron out all the logistics, firmly establish your purpose, design your methods, and plan out exactly how you'll evaluate the outcomes. It organizes the chaos, it forces you to identify your facilitators and barriers way ahead of time, and it defines crystal clear metrics for success. You really want to think of this checklist like a tough mentor looking over your shoulder, asking you the hard questions. Have you genuinely assessed the need and feasibility for this project? Does your purpose logically flow from the problem you've identified? How will you definitively know your project was actually successful? These are the exact questions that turn a rough draft into a reality-altering project. Section 4, Ensuring Academic Rigor. All right, we have arrived at the final crucial stage. To actually enact that change we've been talking about, our passion and our structured projects must be grounded in absolute professional credibility. If you look at the progression outlined by the Purdue OWL resources, you'll see a very clear path to mastery. First up, you need general writing mastery, just the basic mechanics of grammar and sentence structure. Then you step up into subject-specific writing, like learning the distinct expectations of writing in healthcare. And finally, you master the formatting and style. Nailing this specific progression is exactly what guarantees your message lands with impact. Which means strict adherence to the APA formatting and style guide. Yes, I know, the 7th edition, the absolute bane of every college student's existence. But combining that with meticulous plagiarism prevention and grammatical precision, guys, these aren't just busy work. They are literally the gatekeepers of your credibility. By following these rules flawlessly, you're ensuring that your revolutionary ideas are communicated with crystal clarity, and most importantly, that they are taken seriously by the academic and professional community. And that brings us to a really beautiful thematic callback. Formatting is the tool to move the world a millimeter. Remember James Baldwin's quote from the very beginning? Even these seemingly dry, tedious tasks like APA citations, margin checks, and project checklists, they aren't just red tape. They are the exact, precise mechanisms we use to shift reality. They are the actual levers that allow our words to enact real change. So here we are. We've come full circle. You understand the profound emotional weight of your words. You know how to mine your own unique, messy story for genuine authenticity. You've got the structural blueprints, like evidence-based practice, and you understand that academic rigor and formatting are the vehicles that drive your credibility. So you have the tools, you have the rigor. The only question left to ask is, what will you write to change the world?